Hello everyone, my name is EVOO and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. Today folks, I'd like to share with you one of my seafood pasta recipes. Of course, it's going to be easy to make, simple ingredients, but absolutely delicious. Let's get started right now. Here are the ingredients we're going to use today. Very simple folks, we have 340 grams, which is about 12 ounces of calamari. We have 200 grams, 7 ounces of scallops and 200 grams or 7 ounces of shrimp. Here we have 300 grams or 10.5 ounces of cherry tomato. Actually, these are grape tomatoes, but you could use cherry or grape tomato. We're going to use a half a stick of butter, 3 cloves of garlic that I'm going to mince, extra virgin olive oil, folks. We're going to want 6 to 7 tablespoons, salt to taste, and a half a cup of dry white wine. Now, for the calamari, I'm going to cut them into, half-inch pieces, half-inch strips. Okay, we're going to get them all cut up. And in fact, the shrimp, folks, because these are larger shrimp, I would recommend using small shrimp, but because these are larger, I'm just going to cut them in half. It just makes them easier for eating. And then, of course, the tomatoes. For the tomatoes, folks, I'm actually going to cut them all in half as well. Okay, so let me prep these ingredients and we'll make our way over to the stove. Okay, and I almost forgot. We're going to use 300 grams of pasta. I'm using linguine today, but you could also use spaghetti. It's fantastic with both. And I have a small bunch of parsley here that I'm going to chop up, and we're going to add up some nice chopped parsley as well. Let's fire up our stove. Let's put it on medium heat. Let's start with our beautiful extra virgin olive oil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's go with 7 today, folks. 7 generous tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and a half a stick of butter. And if I didn't mention it, that's about 4 tablespoons. Okay, so let's get that butter melted down. And while that's happening, folks, I did mince the 3 cloves of garlic that we're going to add. Let's add our garlic in there right now. And let's let this butter and extra virgin olive oil and garlic infuse together. Let's get this butter melted down. Our butter is there, just finished melting. There we go. So now we're going to let this garlic just saute here for about 30 to 60 seconds just to get that flavor all infused. That's looking really good, folks. Okay, so to that, we are going to add our calamari, but only our calamari at this time. Now, if I didn't mention it, of course, all these ingredients, all the fish, the seafood, it's all raw. You don't want to get any pre-cooked. You want to get it all raw. And you want the calamari with the tentacles as well. They add a lot of great flavor. So these we're going to add later. So the reason for that, folks, well, actually, let me get the tomatoes and I'll explain to you the reason why we're doing this. There we go. Okay. So the reason for the calamari first is what's going to happen as these calamari cook. They're going to go from right now being tender. They're going to toughen up a bit, but we're going to let these continue to cook for at least 30 minutes. Up to an hour. An hour is actually preferred. And while they're cooking that long, they're going to go from tough back to tender again. Okay, whereas the shrimp and the scallops, they only need a few minutes to cook and they're going to be just fine. But these we're going to want to cook down, and we're going to want this sauce to cook up as well, and these tomatoes to break up a bit. So we're going to let this cook now for about at least 30 minutes, up to an hour. As you can see, between the tomatoes and the calamari, they've released a lot of juices, and that's okay because that's all going to condense down and evaporate. So we're just going to let that continue to cook, as I said, for 30 to 60 minutes. Things are moving along real nice, folks. Look at this beautiful rosé color from the tomato. It's just coming so nice. Oh my, folks, just look at this beautiful space already. The sauce, fantastic. Okay, we're just waiting for our water to boil, folks, and we're gonna get our pasta going. But that is looking dynamite. So now that our water is boiled, we can add our salt. And of course, you do not want to add your salt unless the water is boiling, because if you add your salt too early, what'll happen is it'll tarnish the bottom of your pot. The salt will. So always wait for the water to come to a boil, then you add your salt. Okay, nice and salty our water is. In goes our pasta, and again, today I'm using linguine, but this recipe, folks, is fantastic with just plain old spaghetti. Having said that, I always look for pasta that's made in Italy. That, to me, is the best pasta. Okay, so let's get this down. And this is going to take 10 minutes to cook. And I think everybody knows you start your 10 minutes once the water comes back to a boil. So I'm not going to start my 10-minute timer now. I start it when it comes back to a boil. And the 10 minutes, as it says on the package, means it'll be al dente. If you want it cooked more, then you go longer than 10 minutes. Okay, let's bring that back to a boil. That's what I'm talking about right there. Okay, so the lid goes off, otherwise we're going to have a big mess with an overflow. So we're going to let that cook, and we're going to get ready very soon to add our shrimp and scallops. So while our pasta is cooking, we're going to add our scallops and our shrimps. And I want to share with you another little tip that I always do when I make this sauce. And I didn't do it today because I didn't have the shrimps were already peeled. But what I like to do is I prefer to buy the shrimp with the skin on, and then I take the skins off the shrimp, deshell them, and then I take those skins and I fry them with the butter and the garlic at the very beginning to add more flavor, and then I take them out. Then I add my calamari and continue with the recipe. So keep that little tip in mind, and I'll make sure that I put that tip in the comments or in the recipe below, because it makes a nice difference. And again, the only reason I didn't do it today is because the shrimp that I had did not have the skins on. Okay, so now I've added them up. I'm back on medium heat. To that, I'm going to add, you can add up to a third, up to a half cup of chopped parsley. Okay, so that goes in, and we're going to toss to coat those all up too. And we're going to get these all cooked up together. And we still have not added any salt yet. We're going to do that at the very, very end. But right now, let's get them all coated with those beautiful flavors. Our heat is back on medium, so once this comes back up to temperature, they're going to start to cook very, very nicely. Look at this sauce, folks. It's coming together. Now that everything's come back up to heat and is cooking up nicely, that, folks, is when we're going to add our half a cup of dry white wine. And we're going to mix that in. That's going to add a nice flavor to our pasta, folks. Really nice flavor. Okay, we're going to let that continue to simmer on medium. Bring that back up to temperature again. Oh yeah, the sauce is looking good. I just dropped it down to medium-low, and to give our linguine a stir. Look at that, beautiful. This, folks, is simple cooking at its best. Love it. Okay, so the pasta is just about done. So that means, folks, it's time to add salt to our sauce. This has got a lot of small holes, but add your salt to taste, folks, okay? Work that in. So the salt is the last thing to go in. Optional. You can add, at this point, black pepper as well. And of course, if you like chilies, that goes without saying, you could also add chili pepper. Okay, off goes our pasta. I moved our sauce closer to our pot so that we can get this moved into, and a little bit of that pasta water that goes into, that's fine as well, because that's also going to add some flavor and a little bit of extra saltiness. So let's get this all transferred in. Okay, I think that's all of it right there, folks. Beautiful. All right. Now, let's toss up let's take a look at what we got here, folks. Let's get that pasta tossed in with that nice sauce. Let's get it all coated and flavored. And we're going to let this continue to cook on the stove for just a couple minutes. Okay, just a couple minutes. Again, we took it out like right at al dente, so it's okay to cook a little more. There we go. All right, let's let this cook just a little bit longer. Oh yes, folks. We've got a winner right there. Let's go get this plated. Okay, off the stove, piping hot. Oh yeah, let's get that plated. Beautiful. Get everything in there. Oh yes, folks. This, folks, is going to be absolutely delicious. So that's our serving plate. Let me get mine plated. The aromas, folks. So good. Whoops. Don't want to lose you there. Get some of that nice calamari. Oh yeah. I think that's looking pretty good, folks, right there. I think that's looking pretty good. Oh, I can eat more than that. Let's get a little more pasta in there. Now you're talking. There we go. Take a look at that, folks. I thought, why not use one of my Napoli plates? Because Napoli is known, folks, for their seafood. That's for sure. Look at there. Taste test. I can't wait. I want to get into this real bad. Okay, I'm going to use a fork and a knife, but maybe one more look before I dig in, folks. Doesn't that look really good? Oh my. And you saw how simple that was. This, folks, within an hour, you've got yourself a beautiful seafood pasta dish. Let's get a little calamari and some shrimp on there. As they would say in Italy, the flavor on this pasta is unbelievable. You really, really have to give it a try. And I'm only thinking about at the very beginning, if I would have had those skins of the shrimp that I fried first and removed, that would have added even more intense flavor. But this is so flavorful and absolutely delicious. Simple ingredients, comes together quickly. What a great place to be in the kitchen. And I'm glad that you've joined me today and I really hope you give this seafood recipe a try. There's no clams, no mussels, no hard shells, all soft foods and delicious. Wherever you're tuning in from, folks, I want to thank you for joining me in the kitchen today on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. And as always, until next time, buon appetito. Oh my, I'm in for a great meal tonight. Another calamari.